Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Horseback Archery podcast with me, Linda, and
Me, Johan.
yes, and today we have a guest, Richard Addison.
Hi there.
Hello, hello. It's really fun that you want to be with us. When we started talk about make this podcast even for international listeners, we were like, okay, but who should we talk to? And you were pretty much one of the first he was talking about. It would be great to have you in our podcast. So we're really happy that you said yes and you want to join us to this. And I think it's really fun this to make this in English because both me and Johan are not born English talking persons. So but we try our best and hope that everybody understand everything. So, Richard, you have a really amazing career in this sport.
Yeah,
You have gone really, what you say, high up to the higher level. But can't you please tell us? Yes.
yeah. It's been a bit of it's certainly been an adventure over the last 18 months that I've been competing. Um, it was been a bit of a whirlwind, really. Certainly been a heck of an adventure.
Yes, I understand that. How did you even get in contact with this sport? How did you find horseback archery?
Okay, so this is a bit of a funny story. So I might as well go back to the beginning. I've been riding. I've been competing with horses all my life. I started riding, I think I was 3, when my parents first put me on the back of a little pony, and that was it from there. I was doing showing classes and competing, little equitation classes from like 4 or 5 years old. Got really bored of that very quickly. Decided that I wanted to jump fences. So my parents bought me a little jumping pony. That's not technically true. I had a little show pony, little 12-hand show pony that turned out it could jump. That's when I found out that I wanted to jump fences rather than ride around looking pretty. One thing led to another. My parents bought me a little 128 jumping pony when I was 8. Ended up finding that I had a bit of a talent for it, so started competing in British show jumping. I think I was affiliated British show jumping when I was 9, and came up through the junior age classes, under 10s and 10s and under, and through the age classes, and then competed on the 138s, 148s, up into the seniors. And then I got my horse that I still have now, Jake, when I was 16. He was just rising 4 at the time. He was a Dutch warm blood. That was an experience. Young, immature horse, young, immature rider. That was a very fun few years producing him, competing, and anyway, then life took over, and I settled down with who's now my ex-wife. Ended up having kids, and sort of moved away from just riding horses. Then just didn't really become a priority. That was about, I think I was 23 when I last competed show jumping. Anyway, one thing led to another, and that relationship broke down about 3.5, 4 years ago. I moved back in with my parents up at the stable yard where I am sat now talking. Luckily, my parents, well, they're soft. They'd grown attached to the point where they couldn't get rid of them. Jake had been with us since his early years, so he was still here. I think he was 20 when I moved back in, so he was getting on. He's older horse.
Yes.
Got back riding again to really sort of find my feet after the breakup and after the divorce, which was, that was a really good thing for me to do, get back riding again, and really helped me. And then I met Emily. So up to this point, I had never even heard of horseback archery. I thought it was something that happened in movies, and to be honest, I hadn't even seen it from a historical point of view. I just didn't. I was completely ignorant to it. I had no idea. So I met Emily in September 22, and on our first date, I asked her, so horseback archery, because it was, we met online and I'd seen it in the profile that, horseback archery. She's sat the other side of the room. She's giving me funny looks for telling me that. So
Hello,
I
Emily.
Hi.
so yeah, I asked her horseback archery, what is that? And I just thought it was like a bit of a pony club game, to be honest. So anyway, the relationship developed. We ended up, as you know, we ended up together. And then I think it ended up sometime round the end of October, maybe beginning of November. Oh no, hang on, backstep a little bit. So for our second date, she took me to the archery range where she shoots on the ground. She trains on the ground. Said, "Hey, have a go at this."
She was determined to get you into it.
Yeah, so, "Hey, have a go at this." And yeah, it was all right. I was, I think it was more luck than anything that I actually managed to hit the target from about, 10 meters away. But it was good fun. And that was literally the first time I'd ever picked up a bow, which would have been beginning of end of September, beginning of October 22. So yeah, relationship sort of developed, and we, one thing led to another. So I think it got to about November 22 when she finally convinced me to have a go shooting arrows off the back of a horse properly. Yeah, I'd done it at a walk before then. She's like, "Yeah, just try it." Anyway, my horse turned out to be, Jake turned out to be absolutely fine with it. There was no issues, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, fine. You're shooting off me back. That's great. I'm not bothered." So yeah, November 22 was the first time that I was brave enough to actually try cantering without reins. And believe it or not, that was the scariest thing for me. I've every was just letting go of rein. Coming from show jumping, and I had a dressage trainer for years and years and years, and it was like, you know, part of riding a horse is you have hold of the reins, you have a contact, and then all of a sudden there's this sport. Let go. Let your horse run. Just sit there and shoot. Trust it. And so anyway, figured that bit out. So yeah, I started shooting. So really properly found horseback archery in very very end of 2022, thanks to me and Emily meeting online and me finding this crazy world that we all live in. And
And love.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's probably one of the more interesting and adventurous introductions to horseback archery that people have had over the years, but well, certainly the most lucky introduction to finding the sport.
Yeah, it's really a fun story. And also, this horse, Jake, you must have a great relation to him if you have him for so long time.
Yeah, so he's 24 now, and I love him to bits, but he's an idiot. He's crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, the best ones are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Last time I run him on a 90-meter track properly was national championships last year. And I'm not a light guy. I think I've lost a lot of weight since last year, but I think I was probably 95, 96 kilos last year. And he's a big horse. And he was running under 8 seconds with me. I think my fastest run was 7.8 seconds on the raid last year. So he's a big, big horse to be running those speeds. And he's if you're not ready for him, he frightens me sometimes. But but he's running, his ears are forward, he's focused, he knows what he's doing, and he just absolutely loves it. I think after a career of show jumping where it's all been, collected work and got to go around looking pretty and, performing, I can just show him the start of the track and he can just put his head down and do what he wants. He just loves it. So yeah, it's been a really nice retirement sport for him. I think that's the best way I can describe it for Jake.
Yes.
Have you ever tried him on a hunt track?
No, I'm 36 years of age and I'd like to see 40. Maybe 40. I think if I took Jake around the hunt track, I think the odds of that happening would be quite low. And I know we'll get people listening to this going, "Oh, well, he needs more training. He needs this. He needs the other." He's a 24-year-old horse. I'm not going to train that speed out of him now. He's loving life, loving the freedom of being able to run down the archery track and have fun. And I've got the option to ride. My mum's got an Irish cob called Dude that I ride now if I want to have a slower horse. Um, I don't need to worry about slowing Jake down. I can just let him have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious if it slowed down when it's more to look at and more happening around.
Yeah, maybe. I think like I say, he is trainable. He's a very very good horse. He's very very trainable. He listens. He responds well. I just think he'd get very, very excited at the prospects of a hunt track. The other issue that we've got is we don't have any hunt tracks in the UK yet. I have to travel abroad to do that, and I'm not. I'm certainly not opposed to traveling abroad with the horses, but the closest one for us would be to travel him to Alans. And at his age, traveling 17, 18 on the road is I couldn't do that to him. He's an old boy now, and he's enjoying life. I don't need to put him through that stress to travel him abroad. It wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, well, I totally understand this feeling when you have a horse for so long time. I have my big horse for soon 21 years, and you have a really special connection with them, and you have them for so long time. But you say that you don't have so much hand track in Great Britain. Can you tell us a little? So you're mostly competing in tower and raid, or do you do this skirmish instead?
We do. So over here, normally, if we do a three track event, we'll do tower raid and skirmish. Emily's working really hard at the moment, and a couple of other people in the UK are working really hard to just sort of make the hunt track more of a normal thing for us. We do have hunt track training, but it's more what we would call component training. So small sections of a hunt track that we practice. But no, it's just something that we've never really done. And, there's lots of reasons behind it. Over here, there's a lot of issues around insurances and the risks involved with doing a hunt track. But
Yes.
those are things that can be overcome.
Yes.
To us, hunt tracks are something that you do when you go abroad, and it's not something that's really done in the UK yet. We need to change that, really. It's a bit of a surprise for a lot of people. I mean, Emily took a lot of students to France last year, and it was a bit of a shock to some people exactly what a hunt track is. It's a bit crazy, especially our lands. It's it's a fun time.
Yes. But it's good that you have this skirmish. I think we had one competition for like a year ago when it was so much raining. So our hand track, it was so wet. It was not safe enough to use the hand track. So then we just made a skirmish instead. So I think the skirmish is really good when you don't have a possibility to use a hand track. So you have not so much hand track in Great Britain, but is it more difference you think between competing in Great Britain or in other countries?
Yeah, it's hard to say really. The competition itself is good in the UK. The competitions have been run are very well done. I mean, myself and Emily organised our national championships last year. It was a really nice competition. Worked really well. But last year we only had two-star competitions in the UK. We had a couple of club level competitions, but we're talking about a very small number of people. 6, 8 people at a competition. So
Okay.
when we go abroad, when you go to Christoph's, we're seeing 60, 70 competitors, and over 100 when we go to France. And just the scale of the competitions are completely different to what we experience over here.
I actually thought it was bigger in the UK.
No. It's very very small here in the UK at the moment. I think at the moment we have just over 200 members of our association, but the vast majority of those people are hobby club level archers, and with the international level riders are growing. We are growing quite steadily, but no, it's still a very, very small sport over here. We still have, I think we only have one, possibly two all-weather tracks in the UK now. So we're still very restricted on venues. We primarily run on grass tracks, which British weather really doesn't help that. We have 6 months of the year when it's
Yeah.
sunny all the time and the ground's rock hard, and then we have 6 months of the year when you're swimming down the track. There's very little in between. So it's growing, but it's growing fairly slowly at the moment, which we're trying our best.
Well, we have like I will not say the same problem in Sweden, but we are a really small sport in Sweden also. It was quite big before COVID. and it was growing a lot before COVID. But then I don't know what's happened. It was, I think, we had before COVID we had very many beginner, and they were really developing, looking good. But I think they haven't got far enough to keep on training without support during the COVID. So, and they find other interests and other things to do with their horse. So it has been really difficult to come back. But there is some new now. So I think it's looking better now than it that did for like a year ago.
Yeah, that's really good. It's a sport that really doesn't get the recognition it deserves,
Yes.
and I think there's a lot of people um, with the same the same thought now that this sport needs its big break now. We've got a lot of competitors internationally, right from grassroots, the very first competitions that they're doing, right the way up to the likes of the French and the Finns, and it needs an opportunity now to be put in the public eye and
Yeah.
become more visible, become more popular.
Yes.
At the moment, I don't know what that opportunity looks like. I don't. It needs to happen because it's an incredible sport. It really is, and of all the equestrian sports that I've ever come across, this is just completely different. There's nothing that compares to it. It's the people that you meet. You know, g- like I say, I come from a show jumping background, and I had a lot of friends on the show jumping circuit, but
But this community is something else.
exactly, exactly. There's a lot of
Yes.
unfriendly people in the horse world, but I've certainly not met many unfriendly people in the horseback archery community. In fact, I can genuinely say I haven't met anybody who is not completely welcoming and supportive and just out to have a good time. And that's what this is all about. We're all here to have fun, shoot good scores, be sociable, make friends, travel the world, see different cultures, and everybody's just so welcoming and friendly. Um, it's a completely different world.
It's pretty much like a play date when you go to a contest.
It is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. It's like I found it. Saying I've only very recently found this sport before my first international competition, Hungary last year, Christoph's 2023. That was the first time I'd left the UK in 25 years. It really was. I had to renew my passport to go to Christoph.
Well, it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Never in my lifetime did I ever think that I would have friends in probably not exaggerating 20 different countries that I could pick up the phone now or go on WhatsApp or Facebook and message somebody and they'd be like, "Oh, hi Richard, how are you doing?" Just the world and the community and the people in this sport are fantastic. So yeah, it really needs to be made more public, more positive.
Yes, I think there's on the Europe Championship, this live, what to say?
Broadcast.
Yes, thank you, live broadcast. That was really a picture of how it could be, how it could look if it could be, if it more competition could be able to do live broadcast like that, then the world would see the sport because it's really beautiful and exciting to look at.
It is, and that's the thing. I've you know, all credit to Christoph, the way that he put together, Christoph and his team, the way that they put together that the live stream, the live broadcast this summer was just so professional. It was fantastic, and Nico commentating and Hannah Erndell and Anna Minkinson was commentating at one point. They were just everybody was so professional. The whole production was it was I don't use this word very often, but it was perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. I was following it on my phone on the Friday at work, so I just put it up and then I could work while I was watching it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yes.
First time I understand why people follow sports.
Yeah,
Yes, for sure.
absolutely.
Yes. But you say that you have been in Hungary and competing. Do you think it's a big difference in the horse in the UK compared to other countries?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so primarily in the UK, we have the three main disciplines. We have show jumping, dressage, and eventing. Outside of that, performance horses are not really a thing. Yeah, you have pony club games, you have the games horses, and obviously you have the racing scene, which is, I view that as completely, as a different world altogether. That's completely separate. When you go abroad, you have horses that are trained, not exclusively, but very specifically for horseback archery. In the UK, every horse that we ride is a multi-purpose horse. You'll have a dressage horse that will do archery. You'll have, a riding school horse that will do archery, or a show jumper that will do archery. You go to Christoph's, you go to Alans, you've got horses that run the tracks every day. Over here, we don't have anything like that. So I can't exactly say that it's a different caliber of horse, a different level of horse, but it's a different level of training.
Yes.
You come down the track at Christoph's, you come, if you know the track, you come around the corner on the tower track, you set the horse's speed, you let go of the reins, you know that horse is going to run whatever time that you've asked it to run, within reason. Over here, we all aim to train the horses that way, but, one day, you might have a weekend where you've got a day doing horseback archery. On the Saturday, the Sunday you're out eventing. So you're galloping a horse around an open field, jumping solid fences. The training that you've done on the Saturday is not going to stick. The horse is not going to process that training. The next time you get on that horse, you're doing something completely different. So yeah, the level of training for horseback archery that we see in the UK is not the same level of trained horses that you see abroad. So that does make a very big difference.
Would you say that gives you better training with the UK horses? Because then you need to learn the style that matches the horse.
Yes, to a certain extent, yes. I had to become, I was saying about my horse before, I had to learn to shoot very quickly to be able to keep up with him. If I had the choice to slow him down from the very start, yeah, I probably would have done. But I just had to learn to shoot at the speed that he was running. So, going from a horse that was running, 7.8 to 8.5 seconds, going abroad and getting on a horse that was running a 10-second rate felt slow. So yeah, I think that the problem that you have when you have horses that run very quickly, which is what we tend to find in the UK, is it doesn't allow you to focus on your technique. It doesn't allow you the time to focus on the way that you're shooting. You just have to shoot reactively rather than correctly. So that's why when you go abroad and you have the horses that are very, very well trained, your technique and your performance will increase. It will become better. So yeah, it's quite a difficult question to answer, but you know, each style of horses, each from the UK and abroad, do have their advantages and disadvantages.
You said before that you was talking about the tracks, that you don't have so many permanent tracks in UK. How long a season to do competing and training do you have, or are you like the Finnish team that it doesn't matter if it's a snow, they just put more clothes on and go out and practice anyway? Or
No, I really wish we were like the Finnish team. I really do. Usually we can get outdoors from middle to end of March, maybe April if we've had a bad year, through to, I think we run our last outdoor track September time. So we have quite a small window. We have 5 or 6 months where we can really run.
yes, but is it because it gets too wet, or is it like icy, or
It just gets too wet. If it gets cold, yeah, you dress appropriately. You get warm. You put some more clothes on, and away you go. But no, just the lack of surface tracks over here. People are quite fussy about what ground conditions they'll run the horses on. So it's yeah, I think that very much ties in, Linda, with the previous question about the types of horses. So somebody who's got a nicely trained dressage horse is not going to go. They're not going to want to risk any kind of injury on a wet surface. So we find that we are very cautious with our horses in the UK for those reasons.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that anyone that's have a dressage horse allows you to shoot arrows from it.
Yes, for sure.
We've got a very, very wide selection of horses that do archery in the UK. It's quite funny to see, to be honest. It's a very nice variation of horses.
But you don't go into arena and continue training in arena instead?
Yes, we do. We do go indoors through the winter, but nothing really replaces the experience from running on a full track.
No.
We're quite lucky because about an hour from where I live, we've got an arena that we can hire that we can set a full 90-meter track up in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a curved track. The start and the finish of the raid track is on a curve, but it is completely IHA legal, so we can grade through the winter. But yeah, it's a completely different experience running on a curved track than it is a straight track. Potentially shooting 2-3 grades lower on a curved track because your horse is running slower for a start, but also that it's only a very slight curve. It changes everything. It's a very, very different experience.
Yeah, we also do use arena a bit, but mostly Isabel, my daughter, is continue training outside and ask me to teach my dog to be a better arrow searcher in the snow. So yeah.
Yeah, I was amazed last year when we came over, and after the hunt track, the dog was finding the arrows. That was that was amazing. It really was.
Yes. Yes. You are number 87 on the world ranked list and number one ranked in the UK. How did you manage to, in 2 years, get so high scored?
Oh gosh, that's a really, really hard question.
He's dating the coach.
Yes, I am. That I can't deny that played a massive part in it. How can I put this? Emily calls me toxically competitive. I am one of the most competitive people you will ever meet. I would race people up and down the stairs if it meant me, winning something. I just set out very determined from the start. Back when I was show jumping, I was very young, for the level I was competing at on the juniors. I had some really great opportunities, but I was a teenager when I was competing at those levels, and I other things were my priority. And thinking back, I never put the work in, and I never put the effort in to get where I should have been to the level that I should have been when I was show jumping. And when I started this sport, and I found that I was actually quite good at it, and I was enjoying it. I kind of had the mindset that I wasn't going to allow myself to make the same mistakes again. I wasn't going to be lazy. I wasn't going to make excuses for not training. So I kind of fed off previous experiences or and previous mistakes to make sure I didn't end up the same way. But yeah, the whole situation. Yeah, Emily is an incredible coach. Emily is an absolutely incredible coach. And I've had opportunities to train with Christoph, and Hannah Erndell when she was helping out with the clinics at Christoph's, and I've trained with Anna Minkinen. I've trained with Mihai in France, and I think it's just a case of they've taken every opportunity you can to learn and better your style, better your technique, and just listening to people. Listening to what advice people give you, and I think when it comes to sports coaching, and especially with equestrian sports, there's a big difference when it comes to the type of person you are and the way that you learn things. You have to be a coachable person to learn, and I had professional coaches from a very young age when I was show jumping, so I knew how to learn. That's a very, very big part when it comes to progressing. And yeah, I just had some really great opportunities. I was in a very, very fortunate position that I could afford to travel and go to these competitions and just be surrounded by really great horseback archers and learn from them.
Yeah, that's so nice with this community that everyone share all the time and help you to get better.
That's very true. No, honestly, nobody that I've come across has been unwilling to share their experiences or information to help you. Nobody has the attitude that I'm the best. I'm going to keep this information to myself so nobody can challenge me. Everybody is willing to share what they know. And, sometimes just keeping a bit of a low profile and listening to people and taking in what people say has been a really big part of what's helped me get to where I've got to.
Yeah. Do you put a lots of time to do other exercises also? Like Anna Minkinen is talking a lot about keep your body in a good shape and a good health and good techniques.
Recently, Linda, yes, I have. Before this year, no, I haven't. Before I met Emily and before I got involved with this sport, I've been, living back with my parents for a while and, coming home from work stressed and, grabbing a glass of wine and, I'd let myself go a little bit and I'd got out of shape and I didn't think it was an issue because I never had any idea that I was going to get involved with sport again. So when I got back into horseback archery, I started to realize that my fitness and my condition was something that was going to hold me back. I was enjoying life and going out to the competitions, and I wasn't really thinking about hitting the gym and getting back in shape again. But over the last few months, I've turned things around. I had a really amazing first season in 2023. 2024, I've shot some respectable scores, but I've not progressed a rate that I've been happy with. So I've looked at myself a little bit more as to why that's been the case. So I've been, on a real healthy eating and fitness crash for the last 2 months. I've lost about 10 kilos and feeling really good. Oh, in fact, I was just on the phone with a friend of mine today about starting up a new gym membership and going back training, 2 or 3 nights a week and coming back fit and fresh for 2025. And sort of directly answer your question, up to this point, no, I haven't really looked at my physical fitness as important. But I think a season, this 2024 season where I've not really progressed at the rate that I would like has sort of changed my view on that. And I think it is my fitness and health that's probably held me back a little bit, if anything. So yeah, that's something for me to focus on over the winter.
And do you talk a lot in the UK about the good technique and the risk of injuries if you're using wrong equipment or?
Yes, very, very much so. Very, very much. And I think again, I've got to give credit to Emily for this. She's very, very strict with her students about the poundage of bows that they shoot, the style and technique they shoot with, correct posture, correct draw position. She's very much, she's a Nemeth accredited trainer, and she is absolutely 100% straight down the line that good technique will prolong your career. She tells me off all the time. I've started shooting with a back quiver, and my elbow started dropping. I've got a little bit sloppy with my technique, and whenever we have a training session outside, I guarantee that I'll get shouted at, many many times for poor technique. And she's like, "You've always told me you want to be doing this sport for the rest of your life. If you cripple yourself, you're not going to do that, are you?" So she's very, very much down for the absolutely correct technique, and if you shoot right, you'll shoot for a lot.
Sounds like a really good trainer.
She absolutely is.
And I also think it's an important question because we did get in contact with this sport for 10 years ago. Not me. I quite strange people in this community because I have never shoot one single arrow in my whole life. So I do a lot of other things, but I don't shoot arrows.
You collect them.
Yes, I collect them. But when my daughter was start this sport, they never talked about this. And you also, after a few years, she got a bit problem with her shoulder, and I saw other archers that was, using this Chinese tape because they have pain in the shoulders and they have pain in the back. So, and then this question was talking about more and more, and I think Anna Minkinen did amazing work with spread her knowledge about injuries and the body's health if you do this sport. So it's really good, especially I think there's so many people that have a really great development and they're shooting higher and higher scores, and people trying to train during the whole year even if it's raining or if it's snowing, it's so many people that continue practice, and shooting more and more and more to raise their points. And then it's a really big and important thing to remember to keep your body in a good shape.
It is, and I can't credit Emily enough with this, but she's very, very regimented with the way that you shoot with the correct technique. You're not going to get hurt. She's had students that started out with the horseback archery before she became a coach, shooting 30, 35 pound bows. Now shooting 21, 22, 23 pound bows, and are actually shooting better scores.
Yes.
And she and another thing she told me off for, I recently got out and bought a 30 pound bow. I was shooting with a 25 pound Nemethy, and no, 27 pound, I think it was, and loved it. Didn't change because of the poundage or anything like that, but I shot a 30 pound Simon's Bow Company Raptor, and I was like, wow, I've got to buy one of these, got to try one of these. And I'm shooting with that at the moment. I might go back to the Nemethy. They're both incredible, but it didn't go down well. When I started shooting 30 pound bow again, she was like, "You'll hurt yourself." I'll be fine. I'll be fine. She probably will be right, but for now I'm okay. But it tells me off for my shoulder coming up when I'm shooting, or she's like, "It's the poundage." I'm not. It's fine. It's fine. I can look after myself. But she's very, 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 very good at looking after her students.
So next time she say you're gonna hurt yourself because of the strength of the bow, you can just say, "No, I got the best supervisor looking after me."
Exactly. Especially if I start going back to the gym as well, then I can, say, "Hey, look, this is what I'm deadlifting. Do you think a 30 pound bow is going to hurt me?" But she'll still shout at me.
That's love.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yes, and I think it's not so easy for the beginner to find a bow. Yeah, because you can read about them in the internet, but you need to feel them to feel if you have the right bow for yourself or not.
You absolutely do.
It's kind of like when Harry Potter is choosing his wand.
Yes.
It is. It absolutely is. Until you've got it in your hand and you're trying it, you'll never know. And what might feel amazing for one person, somebody else might hate. And it's absolutely no reflection on the quality of the bow that you're buying.
No,
It's just personal preference. It's just what people get used to. I think what a lot of people don't understand with bows is there's a lot of bows that you can shoot which are absolutely incredible bows, but they're very, very unforgiving. If you make the slightest mistake, they won't shoot right. And then you've got other bows which are completely the opposite. You can shoot with poor technique and they'll send the arrow in the same place every time.
where do I find a bow like that?
Within reason. Within reason. You still accurate, but bad technique can be hidden sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it does make a big difference.
Yes. Well, what do you think about the future for the sport in UK and worldwide?
Gosh, that's a good question. In the UK, we're trying to promote the sport as much as we can. I think it's very, very difficult to isolate individual countries when it comes to the development of the sport. I think it is going to be an international effort. We're starting to gain recognition in the UK now as a real equestrian sport, which is a big, big step forward for us. I think that's very quickly going to start to happen internationally as well. And that is in no small part to the role Christoph's played with the live streaming and the way the work that Claire Sawyer does, the time that lady has volunteered over the years is just absolutely amazing. And we're starting to be recognised. We're starting to be noticed. We need to get recognised by the FEI, and the international equestrian sports governing bodies. It's impossible to say how far this sport could go, but I think once we start to get recognised by the international sports bodies, then we'll have a much bigger chance. Initially, I think there's opportunities for sponsorship. I think we need the sport needs to start looking for recognition from big brands to start injecting money into the sport. Because I know, I keep coming back to the live stream, but I think we all know just how much that did for the sport. The cost of that is crazy. You know, I'm not going to go into that, but Christoph has discussed it with me, and it is absolutely crazy what that costs to do.
Yes.
So if we can start bringing big brand sponsors into the sport and starting to get money put towards the broadcasting of the larger events and bringing sponsorship to riders. The top couple of riders from each country get sponsorship deals and this, that, and the other. Then maybe we can grow the sport to sort of a mainstream level. But that's going to take time. But I think the way that it's going, the sport's stable, if you like. It's not going anywhere. There's a lot of people turning up to competitions. I don't think there's any risk of it fizzling out in the next 10 or 15 years while we're trying to look for those opportunities. But yeah, it's a very, very difficult question to approach because there's so many different ways that the sport can be grown. And I think the only way for it is up at the end of the day. The only way for this sport is to keep growing and keep developing. We just need to look for the right ways of doing that.
What do you think will happen to the community when it gets money in the sport?
That is a very, very hard question. Money does corrupt communities, but I think that we've got such a close knit community. I think people will be very grateful of the opportunities, and I think people will rise to the opportunities. I certainly don't think it will divide the sport.
The risk is it attract new people who's only there for the money and make shit off the community.
I completely agree. But the other side of that is we have an incredible, and we were here first.
Yes.
We're a strong enough community that we can bring investment into the sport, but we can stay humble with it as well. We can still remember where we came from, which was a sport that had absolutely nothing, literally just the time that people were willing to volunteer to it. And the people that were there at the very, very start will always be there. And I think they will be the key to making sure that the sport stays welcoming and friendly and, doesn't get overshadowed.
I think it's a very important thing to be aware of, the risks, to keep working against it along the way.
Absolutely. It has to stay as a very welcoming, friendly, open community. It will take a lot to keep it that way if we do start getting the investment, but I think with the people that we have now, it can stay this way.
Yes. Do you have any advice for the listener that have not yet started with horseback archery or have started but want to, feel a bit unsure? How will I go take the next step?
Honestly, the best advice I could give is just take the chance. Just buy a plane ticket, fly out to one of the competitions, and even if you're not out there competing, just go and shake hands, introduce yourself to people, and go and meet some of the greats because they'll welcome you with open arms. That's the best advice I give you, and you will come away inspired. That's the best advice I could give. You'll come away with a smile on your face and wanting to do better.
Yeah, it's quite similar, the advice that one of our Swedish guests was giving us in one of our earlier episode. We asked him, "Do you have any advice?" And he said, "Just do it."
Actually, he said, "It's fun, just do it." Important part.
Yes.
That's it. Just don't dismiss it. It's not some little back corner game that people do. It's a real sport. It might not be a big sport in your country, but go and find where it is a big sport and where it is accepted and go and see what it can actually be. And, you'll be inspired by it. And then just listen to the advice people want to give you and you'll have an amazing time.
Do you have any great memory, your best memory from this sport?
I do, yeah. Oh gosh, best memory. It would definitely be the first competition over at Christoph's in 2023. I felt like a complete imposter. So I'd obviously been training at home. I'd done one small competition back in the UK, and it was literally just a raid competition. We did a raid 1, 2, 3 in the January 2023, literally just after it started, and I shot 11 points. I shot 11 points on a raid 1. And I'd been training all spring through the beginning of the summer, and Emily was like, "You coming to Hungary?" I was like, I don't know. And she was like, no, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, you're coming to Hungary. I was like, right, I'll come and watch you. And the next thing I know, she's putting the entry form under my nose and she's like, fill that in. I was like, you kidding? So anyway, I filled out this entry form, feeling like I had absolutely no reason to go. So that's when I had to renew my passport because I hadn't left the country for so long. And I flew out. First time I'd been on a plane in 25 years. First time I'd left the country in 25 years. And we got out. We got out to Hungary, and I'd met Christoph before. He'd been over in the UK in the April for a training camp which I'd done. So we flew out. We met Christoph, and I got the usual greeting, handshake, big hug, good to see you again. You know, the usual warm welcome you get from him. Did the training camp. I ended up riding an absolutely fantastic horse called Kira out there. It's not one of Christoph's, but it's a horse that usually gets brought to his competitions. Big chestnut mare, like 16-2 chestnut mare. Beautiful, beautiful horse. So yeah, anyway, I got introduced to this horse, and I've not ridden many different horses over the years, and I find it quite difficult to bond with other horses and make a connection with them. But I just really got along with this mare. It's great. So we've done the training, and I was shooting reasonably well. At this point, I had my HA2. I think I had a couple of two. I had 3 HA4 scores at home from training, and this was when you could get your scores in training. And I had 2 HA5 scores. I had 1 tower, 1 raid from training. I started doing the training clinic, and that was when I first had the opportunity to be coached by Anna Minkinen and Hannah Erndell, and it was just the most amazing experience. And then the day before the competition, obviously you got the horse tryouts. Everybody arrives, and they had the big opening ceremony, and I met Emra Kosh and all the guys. It was just the most incredible experience. And then it was the opening ceremony where they introduced it was when Kazakhstan got inducted into the IHAA, so it was a big deal. And yeah, came to competition day, and we had Tower first, and I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I had no idea what I was doing there. I had the headphones in, listening to my music just to try and distract me. And anyway, started shooting, and it was just perfect. Everything just felt amazing, and ended up shooting a HA6 score on the Tower at my first international competition. I couldn't believe it. I came out the end of the track, and Emily was there. She hugged me, and I was like, "How did I do?" And she was like, "You just shot a HA6 score." I was like, "What? No." Anyway, so that was that. And then Christoph announced the groups, and I'd finished top of my group, and he announced it as a new British record and all this. And I had people coming up and shaking my hand and hugging me. I was like, "This is just how did I end up here? This is just doesn't seem real." So that was the final score that I needed to get my HA4. So I got my HA4 on the first day of competition. Did raid the next day. Ended up shooting HA5 score on the 233. So that was my final score for my HA5. So I did HA4 on the first day, HA5 on the second day. Another British record. And again, same thing. Top of the group, everybody hugging me. I was just absolutely overwhelmed. And then it was hunt track, and I'd never done anything like this before. I was saying before, there was no hunt track training in the UK, so I was just going in completely blind. Didn't shoot particularly great hunt track, but it was an absolute thrill ride. The horse knew what it was doing. It was running fast. It was running sensible, and it was just absolutely incredible. Came out the hunt track, and I was really disappointed in myself. I didn't think I'd done very well. And Emily was like, "You do realise you're leading Group 2?" I was like, "What?" So I couldn't believe it. And I was leading Group 2 at this point, and I was sat in the eating area at Christoph's, literally staring at my phone, staring at the IHA website, like, this is my first international competition. How the heck did this happen? So I was leading Group 2 right up until, I think, second or third to last rider went, and it was one of the Kazakh riders, and he knocked me into second place. But the way the percentages worked, I was in first and Emily was in fourth. This Kazakh rider, can't remember, for the life of me, can't remember his name. I really wish I could remember his name. He knocked me into second place, but the way the percentages worked, it bumped Emily up into third. So at this point, we had Kazakh rider on the podium in first place, and me and Emily in second and third. I remember at prize giving, I've got photographs of this. I've got videos of it. I refused to take my sunglasses off on the podium because I was crying my eyes out. And I was stood there with the British flag next to the Kazakh guy, thinking like, this is just unbelievable. And I was crying real tears. And yeah, I've got a picture of me and Emily after the podium, just holding the British flags, and I was like, this is the sport for me. It was just incredible. Ironically, so that was Group 2 was being run as a 2-star. So up to HA3, I'd knocked myself out of the 2-star competition at the very first international competition. So now I'm competing in the 3-star stuff. I've probably never got a chance of getting on the podium again. So I'll hold on to that memory I'll hold on to that memory.
So that's why you're now focusing on the fitness and training and getting a new quiver and stepping up your game.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully, yeah. I've got a long way to go. My raid scores have really slipped recently, but my tower scores are creeping up. So I've got some work to do this winter to get back to where I want to be. But so yeah, that memory will stay with me forever. That, and also the competition over at your place in Sweden in that September 23 was just incredible. The venue, the setting, it was really an incredible experience.
And a big horse.
Oh gosh, yeah, he was incredible. He was absolutely incredible. That was quite a ride. That was.
Yes. Well, Richard, it has been a really pleasure to have you with us. I really hope that you have enjoyed being with us for an hour. And I think for all our listeners, if you want a special subject or a special guest, please just send us a message and we try to arrange.
It's going to be fun to continue follow your progress.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And you are very welcome back to Sweden.
I will absolutely take you up on the offer, Linda. It's I'd love to get back out there and train, and yeah, it'd be great.
Yes. Well, then I say bye and thank you again. It was really fun to have you here, and we will be in contact next episode.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, big thanks and goodbye, everyone.